what's up everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today we are doing the What's Next on Tszyu. I think it's Tszyu. Yeah, Tszyu, the undefeated WBO junior middleweight, or interim junior middleweight champion of the world, following his brutal first round knockout victory over former world title challenger Carlos Ocampo in the main event of the June 17th Showtime card. Before we get into that, if you guys could smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I try to build my channel up here. And if you guys don't like what I'm doing, you could always leave me a thumbs down or leave a comment letting me know why. So, back to Tszyu. You know, he went out there and destroyed Carlos Ocampo, and we all know that he's the mandatory challenger for undisputed champion Jermell Charlo. He's fought twice, he's fought 2 times since the fight with Charlo was supposed to happen, which was back in January. He fought Tony Harrison in, I believe it was March, and dominated him, stopped him in, I think, 9 rounds. And then he went out against Ocampo and just rolled over him in 1 round. After Ocampo showed a lot of heart and looked good against Sebastian Fundora. But this guy has proven that he's just on another level right now, and he's hungry and he's fired up. So we know Charlo is supposed to be what he does next, but let's look at some other possibilities just in case Charlo isn't the guy that happens next. Because the reason I say that is I do think there's an outside possibility now that Canelo has signed that 3-fight deal with the PBC. I really believe that Charlo, that if Jermall Charlo, the expected opponent for Canelo in September, if those 2 guys fight in Canelo's next fight, if they throw down, then I truly believe that if Jermall moves up to 168 and challenges for that belt, Carlos Adames becomes champion. But I really think there's a chance that Jermell moves up to 160 and goes after that WBC title against Adames and tries to become champion there, to open up the possibility for him to potentially be the 3rd opponent of that 3-fight deal with the PBC. I think he wants that fight. He's called out Canelo already. And I think especially it would build a lot of stuff towards that fight if Jermall gets knocked out by Canelo, which most expect him to. Then say Canelo fights David Benavidez and beats him next May. Then if Jermell's making noise at 160, say Jermell becomes unified, goes and beats Arizlandi Lara, and unifies belts or something on that level, I wouldn't hold it past Canelo to be interested in fighting the other Charlo brother. I think that would make a lot of money and make a lot of sense, you know, and Canelo would be the favorite in that fight. So I really believe there's a pretty solid possibility that he's doing that. But I also think Charlo's waiting till after the Crawford and Spence fight to see what happens. If Terrence Crawford defeats Errol Spence convincingly, then I believe he becomes a possible option at 154 for Jermell. So then I think Jermell stays at 154 and awaits that big showdown with Crawford that would come next year. So Jermell would have to get through this guy right here, Tszyu, and then he'd be able to fight Terrence Bud Crawford next year. And you know, that would be a huge money fight for him. So I really think Jermell's kind of in the middle right now. Not sure what he wants to do. We know he likely wouldn't fight Errol Spence if Errol Spence defeats Terrence Crawford. So that is significant for Tszyu, your middleweight, your junior middleweight interim champ right now. So all that, I just spent 3 minutes on that now, on that situation. Now we're gonna run through the top 10, and if Charlo does not fight Tszyu next, and he'll be upgraded to champion, who could he possibly fight after that? Let's run through the top 10 and see. Brian Castano, very possible if Tszyu gets to fight whoever he wants. I think that could happen. It would be a PBC fight. He could get it at home in Australia. I don't see it happening though, because Castaño hasn't done anything in over a year since he lost to Charlo. Unless he were to come back in the next month or two on an undercard, I don't think he'd be ready to and willing to fight Tszyu sometime in the fall. So I'm gonna lean towards no. Now, Sebastian Fundora, coming off a loss, would it make sense for Tszyu to give Fundora an opportunity right now? Not likely. Erickson Lubin. Erickson Lubin's coming off a victory now over Luis Arias. I'm sure Lubin would want that fight, but for Tszyu, I think it's potentially a bad matchup, and I don't think he would take that fight. Tony Harrison, a rematch, doesn't make sense. He dominated Harrison earlier this year. I don't see it. Magomed Kurbanov, it wouldn't be a bad option, but I don't think Kurbanov isn't a big enough, I don't think he's a big enough name right now, and he's definitely not ranked highly in the WBO anymore like he was. So I don't see that one taking place. Liam Smith has moved out of that division. He's moved up to 160 now, so that's not a possibility. Danny Garcia wouldn't be a bad option, but Danny is moving to a catchweight of 155 to fight for the middleweight title against Erislandy Lara. So I don't think he'd take a backseat and take on a guy like Tszyu, who's hungry and rolling over people right now. And then Terrell Gaucher was another top 10 guy coming into the year. Tszyu's already beaten him, doesn't need to fight him again, so I don't see that one. Other possibilities would be a guy, Murad Zadalayev. He's a #1 contender in the WBO and the IBF right now for both those belts. So I believe that the WBO, if Tszyu gets upgraded, they might order him right away to make a mandatory defense against Murad Zadayev or whatever his name is in his next fight, which Tszyu would probably get at home, so he probably wouldn't be opposed to that, to get that guy out of the way, get the mandatory out of the way, and then he could kind of see what it's going to be. Personally, I honestly believe that Tszyu is going to fight Jermell Charlo for the Undisputed title next in the fall. And the reason I believe that is he's built up enough of a name now. I think Charlo, there's no guarantee of Canelo. I think he wants to hold Undisputed for now. And I honestly believe Terrence Crawford's going to beat Errol Spence next month, or in July, at the end of next month. And then even if a rematch happens between the two, Crawford will be a heavy favorite, and Charlo and Crawford would be possible for the first half of next year, most likely, or sometime next year. And I think Charlo would really want that fight. So for me, I think Charlo's going to set himself up that way to leave the door open for Crawford. So that means he wants to hold all his belts at 154. So he will fight Tszyu, where he's still going to be a favorite. Even though it's a risky fight, I think that's going to be what happens for Tszyu next, in my opinion. So that's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next on Undefeated WBO interim junior middleweight champion of the world, Tszyu, following his first round TKO victory over Carlos Ocampo on June 17th on Showtime. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.